Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I'm excited to invite you to a very special event, the Boys and Girls Club of North Mississippi's annual Dance Like the Stars Gala. It's a great time and a great event, and I can speak from experience. Several years ago, I was one of the participants, so I know you're going to enjoy this. It's happening on Saturday, July 19th at 6:30 p.m. at Spank. Visit www.bgcnm.org to get your tickets, and we'll see you at Dance Like the Stars.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us.
Hi, I'm Jim Clark, President and CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I'm excited to invite you to a very special event, the Boys and Girls Club of North Mississippi's annual Dance Like the Stars Gala. It's a great time and a great event, and I can speak from experience. Several years ago, I was one of the participants, so I know you're going to enjoy this. It's on Saturday, 9 p.m. at the Cadence Bank Arena. Visit www.bgcnms.org to get your tickets, and we'll see you at Dance Like the Stars.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give you more support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor. I hope you have gotten at least a little bit of dry weather after what very active afternoon across North Mississippi. Taking a look at what we're going to be discussing today, talking first about strong storms still being possible even into the early evening, overnight hours before those chances really start dissolving. Foggy morning commute for some as that moisture just lingers around. And of course, we are going to do an update on the tropics as we do have a possible development heading into the next 7-day forecast. So a lot to be discussed. Let's go into it. A lot of folks, it's going to just be those active storms building in from the southern portion down around Jackson, now starting to build north, and we're seeing those storms move into Montgomery County, down there towards Attala County. Just watching this last, those are built in that northeast motion and just kind of merged a bit more from what they were earlier. A few isolated cells now coming together. So where we're sitting at now as we do a storm track on that, I'm going to have to grab the mouse off to the side here real quick so we can draw out a storm track moving at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. These are just cold summer thunderstorms that are continuing to roll through the area. So overall, nothing too major, but definitely an electric storm for some. We're talking about 20 miles an hour in that northeast direction. Huntsville 613, Minerva 616, Stewart 621, Lodi 623, French Camp 625 on there towards Tom Nolan, closer to about 636. Now that's the one storm we have in our area right now, and we do have a camera down there in the Kosciuszko region. Let's go ahead and take that real quick. We can get a visual on that. What's there? Let me see. I don't know if we'll be able to pull this up. We'll work to get that pulled up here in a second, but yeah, so basically what you'd see is a lot of heavy rainfall happening across the region And primarily what we're seeing with rainfall rates, it hasn't been overly extreme. Whenever we populate a few of these values, we're talking about 1.7 inches there just outside of Montgomery County along I-55, down around southwestern portions of Atala County, 1.5 inches. But we saw storms move through Prentiss County earlier, 1 3/4 of an inch there towards Corinth, Boonville showing about an inch, and then northeast part of Lee County, about 3/4 of an inch. So an active pattern. It continues to be an active afternoon with more storms moving in as we head further into our evening. Whenever we talk our primary threats, what we're seeing with this is possible hail happening. This is very small hail, if it is any at all, as it is way high up in the atmosphere once it reaches its way to the surface. With how hot it is here at the surface, more than likely melting a good bit of that. So primarily falling as rainfall, and that's what a good portion of this is just going to be heavy rainfall across the region, especially within those storms right there in Montgomery County, 2 inches an hour in some parts. So a heavy downpour definitely going to be consistent of this, but this is again just one of the storms that we have to worry about heading further into our afternoon. I'm going to step over to this side of your screen to walk you through that severe weather risk that's still in effect for our Sunday. Talking about it more, National Weather Service mentioning that threat continues into our overnight hours just a bit as those storms continue to move north from Jackson into Atala, Winston, and Montgomery and Choctaw County. So that's the primary area that we're watching, but more storms developing along the Mississippi River will be possible to produce some gusty winds and heavy rainfall for Clarksdale, Hernando, down there towards South Haven, even towards Lafayette County, Calhoun County, and Yalobusha County. So that severe weather threat still in place. We need to continue to be weather aware through our afternoon, but main threats are going to still be those gusty winds and some strong or heavy rainfall, should I say. Whenever we're looking at some of those storm reports, we're getting some around Jackson showing tree blocked down on Bennett Bend Circle. The tree blocked both lanes of the road, even south of Jackson. This one showing that a tree blown down. So those gusty winds, that's continuing to be the primary threats that we're watching. Just clearing this off of the screen here real quick and moving a little bit north. We had a report up here around Memphis there in South Haven. Multiple trees purported to be down across South Haven. So those isolated thunderstorms doing their part and producing a good bit of damage across Mississippi altogether. That's why that level 1 threat is in place. So whenever we say be weather aware, that's what we mean. So over the next 12, those strong storms continue to be possible from 6, 7, 8, even 9 o'clock before that sun sets and that daytime heating is gone. And then we're in a much calmer pattern moving overnight. And then fog builds towards tomorrow morning, one threat to another. That's what we mean when we say an active pattern. But reason why this is happening, and I'm going to keep zooming this out here real quick, just to, well, if it'll let me. So let me go to now. And yeah, so what we're seeing is that high pressure system down in the Gulf. And whenever we're talking about high pressure in the Gulf towards the east side of Mississippi, even if it's southeast, still on the eastern side, we get this movement that happens across the region that starts to move in a lot of that Gulf moisture in that clockwise motion. So that's why we're getting a lot of that Gulf moisture moving in rather than over here where it's a bit on the drier side. So this interaction with high pressure, as well as this frontal boundary pushing into our area with the counterclockwise motion, we basically are in this intersection of the two that are bringing in a lot of that Gulf moisture with that little bit of forcing from that frontal boundary that allows for storms to occur like what we're seeing right here in Jackson, Greenville, stretching across central portions of Mississippi, and then moving in that northeast direction into Tupelo, Tuscaloosa, and further into Alabama as we head overnight. So that's why that threat's in place. Is just the atmosphere came together for a perfect interaction to produce a stormy afternoon. We were talking earlier, I was talking to Caleb about it earlier a second ago, about how Friday, it was showing high pressure right over the top of us. Well, that little bit, that difference that it had as it moved a little bit more to the east, that can be the difference in a dry day and a very saturated day like what we had this afternoon with all those storms picking up. So walking through Futurecast, I'm going to keep North Mississippi centered on your screen, but I'm going to have it zoomed out to show you what exactly is moving across the region and why we're in a luckier pattern, because that frontal boundary doesn't push all the way into North Mississippi until we reach the early parts of our Monday morning. So by the time it reaches Monday morning, that daytime heating of the day is, and so a lot of that moisture goes away and moves north and stays along that frontal boundary further towards the north. So the one back on the backside doesn't fully move into North Mississippi, and that's why we stay drier and calmer for the start of our Monday, but still with how saturated that air is, foggy conditions, you definitely have your low beams on, do the necessary precautions, and stay on the safe side for your morning commute. But be grateful that our Monday is starting out on the drier side because some folks are not as fortunate. We keep that going into the rest of our Monday morning and still staying on the partly cloudy side, but no rainfall expected in the immediate forecast for our Monday morning. Monday afternoon, a little bit of a different story, and we'll walk through that here in a couple of moments. But for your next 24, basically walking you through those rain chances, yes, I do have a 10% because one of our models did have a chance at an isolated shower, but that's a bit of a stretch of the imagination. It's really our afternoon threat that we're watching as we reach 30 to 40% coverage by 3 to 6 p.m. So go ahead and have that rain gear around, keep it around, but there are going to be some breaks in that forecast heading forward. And that's what we'll walk through here in the next 60 is the drier conditions that move in place, but the heat that comes with it. There's always a give and take here in Mississippi, and we'll be giving and taking going forward. So stay with us here in the next 60 as we go through that and much more in the extended forecast, and also show your weather watcher pictures, all of that coming up Mississippi Live Weather here in the next 60.
I was made for this, crawling through the muck to find where the real problems hide.
All this dampness, it's perfect for mold, and that can mean headaches, rashes, even chronic illness for your family.
That's why we offer our Healthy Home 7-point mold inspection to restore your health by restoring your home.
Focusing on water and mold control from the crawl space to the roof, you can call Absolute Restoration, your local and trusted restoration contractor.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Thank you so much for keeping it at Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We hope you've had a great day all the way around, although it's a rainy day for some spots. But I do want to let you know that any questions you guys have, feel free to submit them in chat and let us know what you want to know, because of course this channel is for you and answering your questions and bringing you peace of mind. That's what we want to provide you here in the next 10, 15 minutes as we keep going with the broadcast. So any questions, please submit them. We'll have plenty of time in the show to answer those here at the end. But let's talk about right now what we're experiencing. 90 degrees across the region. That southern wind building in a lot of that moisture, and that's why we have those showers and thunderstorms really picking up in activity, even heading into our early evening hours. That dew point still relatively high, and that's what's building that moisture in there, and of course keeping those storms a little bit on the unstable side. I want to first look at Jackson because that's where a lot of the activity has stuck around. You saw earlier that line of storms back towards about 5 o'clock this evening, a lot more on the stronger side, but as it's transitioned more across I-20 and across I-55, it's diminished greatly in strength. So we're not seeing the same structure on these storms, and those are continuing to diminish in strength more and more. Still watching a few of those isolated cells moving through Montgomery County, there in Winona towards Eupora. Those are going to have several strikes of lightning and several rumbles of thunder and lots of heavy rainfall, but overall I think we're staying below severe limits with that cell right there. As we look further to the south, more activity building towards Noxubee County, but a lot of that, I'm going to take one more step back. As it moves more into Pickens County, that's where we'd expect it to build a bit more in strength. So over there in Aliceville, probably experience a few rumbles of thunder. That continues into Tuscaloosa County. That's where we carry over that threat for more thunderstorm activity overnight. So for us, it's going to be what happens in Jackson as it moves north that we're watching for that possibility of more severe weather. But I really foresee us staying on the just a thundery night, thundery and rainy night. If thundery is even an adjective, we're going to pretend it is today. But what it is also doing is keeping our temperatures cool. That rain-cooled air is something that we'll take as a blessing because 77 compared to 91, that being the difference between Kosciuszko and Belzona right now, we'll take that. A 14-degree temperature swing here in mid-July, not too shabby of a thing at all. Just got to deal with a few rumbles of thunder in the process. Even those isolated showers there in Prentiss County, 78 Boonville to 90 in Tupelo. I mean, that's just a great afternoon. If that was all you had, if it was a dry forecast of 78, but unfortunately, those rain chances, something we're going to have to keep an eye on as we head further into our evening, 8, 9 o'clock, still seeing those chances linger around before we get drier conditions heading overnight. And as we head towards the early morning hours of our Monday, foggy conditions going to be sticking around as well. So that moisture definitely playing a part in our forecast. So overnight, there's a look at those isolated cells building in from Jackson, as I mentioned, but overall staying sub-severe, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, especially as some of these cells build just a bit more. But this is going to fizzle out as soon as it pretty much peaks there in Chickasaw County. You can see that just turning into a light rainfall by 11 midnight and into 1 a.m. And then on the back end of this, a much drier forecast in place as that frontal boundary lifts it just a bit north, taking all of that moisture with it. So by 6 a.m. on your Monday, a lot of those dark grays on your screen right there are going to come in the form of cloud cover, just because the atmosphere is so saturated. A lot of that overnight rainfall lingers around, and that sun rises and that radiation fog that develops, that's where you get the foggy conditions for your morning commute. But luckily, with how much sunshine we'll get in those some isolated spots, it will burn off that fog relatively quickly, and we'll not be seeing a foggy commute for too long. It's just for those early morning drivers. Low temperatures tomorrow morning with how saturated of an atmosphere it is. Low to mid 70s in some spots, so that's right around average for this time of year. Maybe a degree or two higher than what we'd typically be at. But don't worry, the heat will definitely be coming by the afternoon if you're not getting it by morning. As we carry this futurecast into our Monday late morning, early afternoon, still staying on the drier side. A few models showed maybe an isolated shower possible, but this is really the time frame I'd be watching for your showers to start to develop. Isolated showers, very light in nature at first, turn into more of thunderstorm activity by the time we get towards 2, 3 o'clock. And still very isolated in nature. We're talking about Choctaw County all the way out towards Cleveland, all the way north towards Alcorn County. So a very widespread threat for thunderstorms to occur, but still very isolated. So not everyone receiving rainfall, but everyone in North Mississippi at least susceptible to a couple of these. That's where we keep an umbrella in the back seat just in case these showers and storms choose to pop up where we're at. Into the rest of our evening, you're kind of watching those storms. If some of these were to merge together just a bit, you'd see some of these on the stronger side, but overall, if they stay in this cluster where you have one isolated storm here and there throughout one of the counties, then you're just seeing those sub-severe threats with maybe 10 to 20 mile an hour gusts within that and lots of heavy rainfall. Back in Lafayette County, kind of showing what the merger would look like with some of those heavier pockets of rainfall, lots of lightning, and that would probably be producing about 20 to 30, possibly even 40 mile an hour gusts if all those clusters merge together correctly. So that's why we need to be weather aware. Mississippi Live Weather app giving you the latest updates you need, but also it's just going to be another active day altogether. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon, still staying on the warmer side, mid 90s across the region with feels like values well into the triple digits. And this is a note that I do want to say. We normally look for heat advisories to be issued before we really take that heat seriously. But when heat indices are coming in with 105, 106, even 107 in some spots, it basically shows that the heat is going to be dangerous for tomorrow afternoon. That moisture kicking in, making it feel much more miserable. So staying hydrated and staying cool are essential, especially with conditions like this. And it doesn't end there. We'll talk more about Tuesday's forecast here in a second. But let's keep Futurecast going into our evening where those showers will taper off and into our morning commute on our Tuesday, still staying on the drier side. So that overnight forecast staying dry before an active afternoon kicks off. But Tuesday afternoon does not look too extreme in regards to rain coverage. Here's a look at your early afternoon, which looks a little bit different than what we saw this afternoon. As we keep that going into mid-afternoon, still seeing isolated storms possible, but much more isolated in nature from what it was today or what it will be tomorrow. So a little bit of a drier side for our extended forecast. And I love how I say that, and Futurecast likes to change on me, but I really see that the latest model run showing a drier forecast for Tuesday, so that summer pattern should be at least giving us a little bit of a lull, comparatively speaking, still 20 to 30%, but we'll take that little bit of a difference in percentage in that long-range forecast, especially this time of year where it seems like there's a thunderstorm every single day. But we talked about that heat sticking around, and that is going to be our story for our Tuesday. High temperatures, 96 showing in Columbus, Greenwood, Grenada, over there towards Greenville and Belzona. With heat indices, we're talking about 107 to maybe even 108 in some spots. So those heat advisories, whether they're issued or not, don't let that be your reason to take it seriously. Go ahead and take it seriously right now. I'm telling you that because it's going to be hot, it's going to be muggy, and it's going to be dangerous. That heat definitely can surprise you and how dangerous it can be. And it doesn't end there. Temperature outlook going forward shows on the warmer side a little bit above average, and not just for here in North Mississippi. It actually gets worse the further south you go, and basically across the central to eastern United States. That warming trend continuing July 19th through July 23rd. That's what the Climate Prediction Center foresees as well, and we foresee that here at Mississippi Live Weather. Just basically, it all aligns to a hot forecast going forward, and one in which we need to stay weather aware and stay as cool and hydrated as possible. Your breaks Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday come with 20 to 30% coverage. That's where you might be able to get away with an outdoor event if you want to plan that. But of course, have our app downloaded so you can get the latest on radar and what you need to worry about as you head out the door. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows those rain chances starting to pick up again, with some of those having some thunderstorms included within that. So an active pattern continues, just a little bit of breaks here and there. Speaking of breaks, coming up after this break, we'll be talking about some questions that you guys may have, weather watcher pictures that were submitted, and some cool ones at that. And we're also just going to be discussing more about what to expect with the tropics, latest updates on that. Lots to still discuss here coming up in the next 60.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/team-up.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We're taking a look at your weather watcher pictures, what your eyes are seeing out in the field after what has been a pretty active afternoon. Brittany there in Jumpertown showing us a little bit of that scud cloud extending off of that cloud base there in Jumpertown. Now, I know the ducks were thinking it, the cows over there were thinking it, oh, this is going to be a beast of a storm. Luckily stayed below severe limits, but a few rumbles of thunder, enough to startle a couple of folks there in Jumpertown, and I'm sure the ducks and cows as well. Stephanie in Saltillo, this is one that I saw personally driving into work this afternoon. You see the lowering on the clouds. Now, this is nothing major to point out. This is a term that we call scud, which often gets confused for maybe tornadic development, but luckily there's no rotation with scud. This is just more bark than bite, as you can see, because no damage occurred with it. Just looked pretty menacing as you drove into Saltillo. And you also got heavy rainfall. You can see the rain shaft on the back side of this. So this was still an intense thunderstorm, just not anything tornadic from what we saw. But we did also get we have to look at radar just a bit more, but there was some broad rotation that took place with this storm there in Pratt's community. Justin getting a good shot of what is believed to be a wall cloud, in my opinion. You can see right there, it's a very small wall cloud and a very unorganized wall cloud, but still looks to be a bit of that broad rotation reaching just a little bit lower. Not really a tornadic threat with these cells, but we could have seen some small hail produced within that, especially when it reached that peak intensity. So these cyclical thunderstorms that we get here in summer showing off and showing how unstable the atmosphere is today. That's why that level 1 risk is in place. But those level 1 risks are in place for primarily strong wind gusts and heavy rainfall. But a great shot there from Justin and Pratt's community, just letting us see what we're seeing on the ground. So if you have any pictures of your own, weather watchers, you guys are a part of our team. We want to see what you guys see. So submit those pictures on our app. And if you do, please include the time and include the date, so that way we can know when and when and of course where this was taken. Lets us know everything we need to know, that we can alert everyone where your pictures were taken. So appreciate you guys out in the field keeping eyes in the sky. Just make sure to stay safe in the process, and I know that everyone stayed safe in the process. Now, we did get a message back in the chat talking about Boonville power outages. Now, Boonville not showing any power outages as of right now, but this does take a second to populate, and we're going to look more at this here in the coming minutes as we go check out some of the power authorities, but so far not showing outages. But outages down in Attala and Carroll County definitely starting to show up just a bit more. Attala currently with about 300 outages in building as we head further into our evening. That's just a result of those thunderstorms that have currently moved into the area, prompting a few of those outages. Now, folks in Choctaw and Winston County, we timed out that storm for you. That's that same storm that produced those outages there. So be on the lookout. But luckily that storm is diminishing in strength, so not expecting that to prompt more outages. I want to make sure, Caleb, do we have any more questions?
Actually, one just came in from Logan saying that they would meet. There's going to be recommendations.
Well, I'm curious because the season last year, and actually we'll just go ahead and jump to the next graphic. The season last year was very active by this point of the year, but it was very abnormal for this time of year to be that active. So they were forecasting an above average season yet again, not the hurricane hunters, but the National Hurricane Center as well as Colorado State University. They do a hurricane forecast. And so they were suspecting a bit above average, but we're currently several weeks into the season now, and we've gotten, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's just one right now, right? Or two?
Will be
No, Chantel. So we're at 3 total. So yeah, so we've had 3 total, and I believe they said anywhere from 13 to 16 or 14 to 17, somewhere in that range. So we have a chance at another tropical development, still very low in nature, and honestly, it's a ways away from being anything major. So over the next 7 days, not expecting anything in the tropical development realm, but enough to produce just a little bit of a disturbance to bring in a little bit of that Gulf moisture. Producing a few more rain chances, that's going to be for your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday forecast of next week. So that's why those rain chances are a little bit on the climb. But yeah, this is the only thing that we have to note in the tropics right now, the latest development, but the only development for the Atlantic coast. So if you are planning any trips to the beach, probably dealing with some rainfall, unfortunately. So summer trips, I apologize if you plan them this time of year. Hurricanes just seem to pop up when they want to. But yeah, this is not expected to be a significant threat for Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, anything of that nature here over the next 7 days. Keeping eyes on it, though, as we head into the next 7 days. But what we're also keeping eyes on are just rain chances heading further into our evening. A few of those storms could be on the stronger side, but I think a severe thunderstorm happening is a bit of a stretch. Just the atmosphere it's entering into has been used up a good bit. A lot of those storms have been used up as well, as they were used up further down there towards Jackson. But those chances of heavy rainfall still remain for 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and by 10 p.m. into 1 a.m., really dissolving those chances into a much drier forecast going forward. So mid-70s by 1 a.m., decreasing into the low 70s by tomorrow, but heat building all this week. It's important we stay hydrated, we stay cool. Air conditioner is your friend. But yeah, just stay dry in the process, enjoy that forecast, and of course, we'll have more coming up for you tonight at Mississippi Live Weather at 10. Latest updates on power outages, latest updates on those storms, and just how much of a punch they packed here in North Mississippi. Just make sure to download the app right now, and you'll get all the latest weather updates you need. And of course, we'll keep you updated here at Mississippi Live Weather. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! Probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy